to have with us Mr. Tony George. He's our first speaker of the day to share his thoughts on industry-academia collaboration. Mr. George is the Group Human Resources and Business Development Director of Inchcape PLC, a leading global premium automotive group operating in 26 markets. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me and welcome Mr. Tony George. Great.
Well, it's a tremendous honor for someone like me. Just recently, well, 25, 27 years ago, I was sitting at this. I was a backbencher, I have to admit. I used to come in last and just listen in the back. More often than not, I used to sleep through the lectures, but, sometimes I pay attention. But it's a great privilege to be standing here in front of you. Great privilege. It's a great responsibility. I've thought very hard about what I can say. Can you hear me at the back, by the way? Yeah? And for that, I have to thank, firstly, Mr. Partha Dasgupta. Some of you will know him, or all of you will know him. He was a senior colleague of mine at ICI 20 plus years ago, is that right? 21 years ago, something like this. And we had a great time in those days. Obviously, I would like to thank the director, faculty, some of my industry colleagues, and all of you. So thank you for all of that. At some point, we'll get the projector working as well, and then we can start. I have a question for all of you, which I don't want an answer to, I just want you to think about it. Okay? This event is known as the Leadership Conclave. By the way, does anyone here know what a conclave means? Put your hand up if you know what conclave means, or where the word conclave comes from. Anyone? Anyone? What is a conclave? Come on. No one's willing to put their hand up. Go on then. That is the interpretation of the word conclave, correct. So where does the word conclave come from? Anyone here? Yeah, go on. Tell me.
The selection of the
Exactly right. It's the meeting of all the cardinals in the Sistine Chapel every time the Pope, who is the ultimate figure in the Roman Catholic Church, when he's elected, all the cardinals meet in what is known as the conclave. And you heard of the white smoke and the black smoke, That's where the word conclave comes from. It's actually a very secretive forum. No one is supposed to know what happens in a conclave. It's very, very secret. Okay? So remember, what we talk about here is very secret. Don't share it with anyone. It's only for you. Okay, so here we are, on track progression. Thank you very much. It's all working now, yeah? Are you going to be clicking my slides for me? Okay, so here we go. Let's not waste any more time. Can I get the first slide, yeah? So I want you to put your hand up if the answer to this question is yes. I'm very happy to see that no one in the front row is here sitting there. They've made all their money, they're all billionaires sitting out here. Anyway, I won't put my hand up anyway, but anyway. Sorry? What were you going to say?
Question is incomplete.
Sorry?
Question is incomplete.
The question is incomplete. Go on then, why is the question incomplete?
Who wants to make tons of money?
Oh yeah, alright, okay. Who wants to make tons of money? Alright, let me ask you this question. Who doesn't want to make money? Is there anyone here who doesn't want to make money? Put your hand up now. I'm interested. There are people who have different visions in life. Do you want to make money? Sure. Alright, can I have the next? Just click once. Now what I want you to do is on your pads, I see you've all got a pad and a pencil. I want you to think for a moment. Okay? Think hard. And answer the first of those questions. How much? Think of your lifetime. Okay? I know it won't be very accurate. I don't expect you to give me an answer which has naya paisa at the end of it. I doubt that. Okay? But think of a number. Think of a really important number for you, which you think, हाँ यार, इतना पैसा बना लूँगा तो it'll be enough. It'll be fantastic. Okay? Then I want you to write below that in no more than 5 words. No more than 5 words. If there's a 5th word, if there's a 6th word, it's disqualified. No more than 5 words. Why? Okay? So, a number and why. Alright, okay. Now, tear off the sheet of paper for me. Tear it off. Okay? Don't tear it up, tear it off from your pad. Okay? Pass it to the person next to you and take his paper or her paper back from that person. Exchange it to the person next to you. Okay, don't read it. Don't read what the other person is. Just exchange it. We'll come back to this later on. Okay? But what I'm going to tell you is as simple as this. I've had the opportunity. Look at this. Everyone's thinking, "Arey yaar, तुमको सिर्फ 1 crore बनाना है. मैंने 100 crore लिखा है." Some guys are thinking to themselves, "ये तो पागल है 100 crore." Just wait. Just wait. Okay, don't do the discussions, guys. Come on, pay attention here. Don't worry about the ridiculous number that your neighbor is. And don't feel shy, because if you've written 20 crores or 20 lakhs, you can always change it. This is not your final answer in life. But remember what you wrote. Remember today, what is the date today? 17th? 18th of October 2013. On that day, you were sitting in this room and you wrote a number. Remember this all your life. And I can assure you that you're not going to end up anywhere near this number. But if you pay attention to the next 3 days, and I can assure you if you pay attention to what I'm going to give you now, you'll exceed that number. That's my guarantee to you. Now you're interested. Now you're thinking, अच्छा हुआ मैं आगे आ गया. अच्छा हुआ मैं आगे आ गया. You're sitting in the back. Now I've got your attention. Okay. You know, this is actually a much more important and much more deep question than what I've put here. I'm making it sound like a joke. You know? Because when I was in management school, when I was like you, the reality is I was madly in love with this girl. Whom I later married and is my wife and is still bossing me even after 30 years. But for me, my whole world revolved around trying to make enough money so I could tell my father that I'm a Qabil man and that, you know, he should agree to let her marry me. Because he thought I was a funter. That's what he thought I was. He thought I was a sort of a singer guy who used to sing songs that would do all this. But this was my only intent. I was very lucky academically. I was very, very lucky. Somehow, by luck, I used to get into good colleges and I got good marks. All luck. Honestly, all luck. And then I got into a good management school, again by luck. And I got good grades there also, again by luck. This is my view at least of life. And this was my only intent. If you ask me how much at that time, I wouldn't know, but my answer would have been something like enough so I could get married to this girl and have a happy life. This was nonsense, honestly. No idiot came and asked me this question. Otherwise I would have said that and I would have embarrassed myself. But anyway, that is exactly where I was. But the bigger question was why? At that time, I didn't quite know. My answer was very simple, very simplistic. But actually, you know, later in life, when you become leaders, when you become big leaders of the world, when you are, you know, making decisions that are in multi-billion pounds or dollars or, you know, see some of the numbers nowadays, I don't even know how to say them. I was reading a number in the newspapers the other day, about 18 lakh crores. Right? There must be a number for that. There's some number there, but I don't even know what they are. I never dreamt of such numbers when I was growing up anyway. But you know, the question is, what do you want to do? You know, if you have enough money for a house and your children's education and your health care and your food and your clothes, okay, of a certain standard, then after that, you know, what are you going to do? You're going to buy another tire or you're going to buy another pair of shoes? Maybe buy a second car? Okay, then after that, what happens? You're not going to eat something different. You're still going to have whatever, right? You're not going to add something new to that because you are making more money, right? So you start thinking, what do I do? What does it become? And it's interesting because it defines you. It defines who you are. It defines what type of person you are, and it defines what type of leader you will become. By the way, remember, this is a formula, this is a secret what I'm telling you. Don't go and tell anyone this. Don't discuss it amongst yourselves. I'm just joking. Let's go to the next slide. So then the question is, what do you really want? I don't want you to answer this question. But I want you to think about it, not now, but when you go home, and when you are by yourself. I want you to think, what do you really want? Because you are here, you are in this room, and because you are in this room, it means you have the choices. You are the chosen ones. You are lucky. Let me tell you. If you don't know that already, let me tell you. You are blessed. You have opportunity. There are millions and in fact billions of people who do not have that opportunity. Now you have created that opportunity for yourself. Because you've worked very hard, you've got good marks, you've got good personalities, you've made it to one of the top managers in the world. Let me tell you, the little time that I've been here, I've visited your temporary campus as well. Mark my words, I am Kashipur will be one of the top 10. One of the top 10. You will. And you will be there. And let me tell you, it's not just Dr. Sinha and the faculty who are going to make it that. It's you. Because 10 years from now, 15 years from now, you will be leading organizations and people will say, where are you from? It's a typical question, particularly Indians, They always want to know. When I'm in Europe, nobody's going to ask me, which institute are you from? If I said, I'm from this, we wouldn't even know where it is. But India, everyone must know. They must know everything you're doing. This is one thing. But they'll ask you, and you'll say, I'm from Maharashtra. You'll say, oh, really? Yes. Third batch. Is it third batch? No, there's some in second and some in third year. Second and third year. And you'll say, I'm Kashipur. And you will show them how to do it. And that's how an institute, these are all the factors that come. So, the question is, what do you really want? Think about it. You've got this opportunity. You've got this stage. You're building the platform for yourself. Now, of course you want to make money. I'd be very surprised if there's anyone in this world who says, no, best in money. Alright, okay, fine. There may be somebody there. But the fact is, there is definitely hope. It's important for many things. You're not denying it. But there's a grander purpose. And each one of us is unique. And for each one of us, it's different. It might be so vastly different that you can't recognize, and we have to respect everyone else's wishes. One person may say, I want to improve the type of life that the people in my village run. Some people may say, I want to, support a football team because I know that football is so important for the development of, teamwork and youth. Some people may say, I want to spend all my time in charity and change the world in terms of people who don't have water to drink. People are dying because they don't get water to drink. I'm making the world. It's not right, it's not fair. I must do something. Or it may be, I want to have a bigger house than the environment. It might be. Doesn't matter. We respect. We have to respect it. Nobody can say that, your ambition is bad and my ambition is good. No. All independent. We're all going to weave our own paths when we leave this place. This is the way it is. This is the way it works. By the way, hands up if you're still awake. Good. Excellent. Thank God. I've got most of you awake. So the question is, the theme of this conclave, firstly it's a leadership conclave. It's not a management conclave, it's a leadership conclave. Okay? And it's a discussion. You're spending 3 days on 5 to 6 truly important themes. Right? And the first one is on-track progression. Right? On-track progression, academia to industry. And as Dr. said, it's vice versa. There's a symbiotic relationship. One cannot exist without the other. Okay? So on-track progression. So in my mind, when I thought about this, I thought, it's quite simple, isn't it? What does academia want? What do you want? What do your faculty want? What do you really, really, really want? But then, what does industry want? I can tell you what industry wants. Across global companies. So I've had the opportunity to work with 5 or 6 of possibly the top companies in the world, including Diageo, ICI, Vodafone, Starbucks, and now HK. So I have a good idea, as much as every one of the other speakers has a good idea, of what industry wants. So I'm going to share that with you. I'm also going to share with you how you can do the things that will make you bullseye target for what industry wants. If you're interested in hearing it. So that's, if you want, what I'm going to cover. Let's go to the next slide. Sorry, I don't have a clicker. I'd have been much more slick in my presentation if I had a clicker. It's nice when you turn it on and click and people think that but I can't do that. So I've got, what's your name again? Ashwin was helping me. Thank you, Ashwin. So, the question is, what does academia really want? Now, because of the time we have and the shortage of time, we're not going to go into too much of an analysis of this part. Because this part you know. The industry part I'm going to share with you. So that's the part I know. Okay? Now, obviously, there are themes during the next few days that will cover some of these things. There are some things which are obvious as well, which I don't need to talk about. It's not going to help you. I'd rather spend this little time giving you something that will be different and new. Okay? So I'm not going to spend too much time. But just think, you are currently in an academic environment, and you've written down a few answers, but I've asked you to think about what you really want. Not what you think you should want, not what you think, I think it would be a good answer to give this answer. No. This is not to share with anyone, it's for you. What do you really want? But think about it and write it down sometime. And one day in life you'll come back to it and you'll ask yourself, because your life will take you to strange paths. You can't even imagine what they'll lead to. You just can't. But this will be your anchor. What do I really want? But when I was sitting there on the 18th of October 2013, I said I wanted to do this. How far am I from that? From time to time you should revisit that. You can change it. It's not sacrifice. Anyway, so let's move on. Next slide. So I picked this from your website. I'm sure you all know this. If not, you would have come across this. And it's fabulous. I loved it actually. I know this is, it can't be unique. I'm not saying that this is the only institute in the world that does it. Of course not. But it's great, isn't it? The institute is set up with the objective of providing quality management education. I'm sure that it is doing that. While sensitizing students towards the needs of society. Because at the end of the day, we live in this society. And if we don't think about it, I think the next speaker will also talk about that in terms of sustainability and our contribution to society. If we don't have that symbiotic relationship and we don't have that corporate responsibility towards society, we will never exist in the long run. We will never exist in the long run. I'm very proud that the company I work with is over 200 years old. At one time in India we would call it great, these old names we have. They're now known as institutes. But we're 200 years old. And I can tell you we would not have survived 200 years if we didn't have a strong symbiotic relationship. Because society will reject you. You are very selfish. And your interests are only for yourself, either as a person or as an organization. Eventually society will reject you. Because people want collaboration, people want progress for everyone. This is the way the world works. So fantastic objective. I'm very pleased with that. And in a way, in terms of what academia wants, there is a strong hint in here. But let's move on. So the question is, then what does industry want from a top management institute? From a top management institute, I put top in capital letters because I believe I'm Ashwin to talk what I just said. You better believe it. Okay? So what do you think industry really wants from a top management institute? Let's hear some answers. What do you think industry wants from a top management institute? Not a top technical institute, a top management institute. It's not IIT, it's IIT. Come on, give me some answers. Put your hand up if you think you have an answer. Yeah, go on. Shout it out. I can't do it. Ready to deploy managers. Okay, go on. Future leader. Oh, okay, go on. Hold on.
Can solve the problems that impact large number of people.
Can solve the problems that impact large numbers of people. Who will answer? Take the organization through changing times. So managing, leading change. Fantastic.
lead the whole industry.
When are we going to see the tiger?
Lead the industry through various stages and differently from
I think we are being
quality that does not produce.
So lead the industry to change. I'm getting a lot of leadership. No? Leadership, that's interesting. Okay, hold on, I'm coming around there. Let's involve everyone. Go on then. Alternative thinkers. Alternative thinkers, I love that one. He's a Badmash. Badmash? I know, he was a back, in the back there. Visionaries. Foresee global issues and what? Sail the industry in science. Wow. Dr. Sinha, I think he's using the sail analogy because of the background. Just by the way. And then Dr. Sinha was with sail. But anyway, okay. Any other points here? Come on.
Ability to learn, unlearn, and relearn.
Wow. This is like getting very technical. Learn, unlearn, and relearn. You're in HR. Are you in HR? Freeze, refreeze, all these models. Go on.
Can manage people, organization, and can contribute to society.
Manage people and contribute to society.
But you can connect theory with practice.
Theory with practice.
So visionaries who can manage the change and lead the organization into the next generation.
Fantastic. So, crisis managers. Well, you think industry is always going to be in a crisis? No, but it's right. It's right. It is right. It is right. No question. Okay, so I'm not going to go around anymore. But I mean, there's one common theme that has come through here, which is absolutely right. No doubt about it. Industry is not looking for people who come in, do a 9-to-5 job, and manage a little part of a department, do the accounts. Acha sir, I'm ja rahe hain sir. Good night, bye-bye, and off. Industry looks for leaders. Almost all of you have used either the word or have referenced the word in one way or the other. You said visionary, somebody said leading change, somebody talked about leading and making sure that the ship sails, somebody talked about crisis management out there. Industry is looking for leaders. By the way, there's a very big difference between managers and leaders. And I'm not going to go into that lecture. That's a different lecture for another day. What is the difference between managers and leaders? Right? So I remember one particular thing that one old boss of mine taught me once long ago. And he told me, he says, Tony, you're talking like a manager. I was very pleased. I thought he was complimenting me. He's a house from XY or at School of Management, Indian School of Management, whatever, management school. So I was very pleased. He says, no, you don't understand. I said, no, sir, I understand. I'm being a very good manager, all catching it. This is what I am. I want you to be a leader, he said. So I remember even that time thinking, okay, I can sense there's a difference between manager and leader, but what is it? And he taught me this one lesson, and later on in life, of course, I came across it in different places. And, I'll have to mind my language a little bit. But, one of the things that great managers do, okay, is they study the competition. You've all learned this in your strategy and your competitive economics programs. Really understand, do a SWOT analysis of your competition. Done all this stuff, right? What is the competitive landscape? You will analyze and protect. As a great managers do that because you need to know it, right? And he told me, he says, that's what great managers do. I said, right, perfect, I've learned all this. He said, but great leaders don't do that. So I said, what do you mean they don't do that? They have to do that. He says, no, they just beat the out of the competition. That's what they do. They don't worry about all this analysis and everything. They go out and make it. And I remember thinking when he said it with some slightly more colorful language. But I remember thinking when he said, yaar, baat to sahi hai. It's like a football team, right? Anyone here plays football? Put your hand up if you play football. Put your hand up if you watch any team sport. On TV, right? Any team sport. There are those people who are captains also sometimes who do a lot of analysis. Analysis is very important. In today's world, you get an extra 2%, 3% performance from that analysis and making sure you do it. But at the end of the day, you know who a leader is. Because the leader brings it home. a leader wins. A leader makes it happen. Has anyone here seen Any Given Sunday? You've seen one, two, three, have seen Al Pacino. There is a clip in that which I cannot recommend. So you've not heard it from me, but this is a club which all seem to hear. Because it's full of bad language, and I would never advise you to watch it. But if you do not follow my advice and decide to watch it, then if you click into YouTube and do, Any Given Sunday, you'll see the speech from Al Pacino. I don't know if you've seen it. Has anyone here seen it? You've seen it. Somebody's nodding out there. It's called Inches, and it's the speech he gives to the football team in halftime, where he talks about leadership and what it means, and he talks about, dying for the cause. Okay? So remember, I have not advised you to see it. I don't want to get into trouble. I have not advised you to see it. If you don't follow my advice, well, that's not you. But it's, leaders, they win. Now tell me, how many of you in this room want to be leaders? You're not sure. Are you sure? You're sure? Okay. Put your hand up if you don't want to be a leader and you just want to be a manager. Because I have an easy path for you. Nobody here wants to just be a manager. So you are sitting here in this room on the 18th of October and you are telling me that every one of you wants to be a leader. You sure?
Yes.
Tell me if you're sure.
Yes, sir.
100%?
Yes, sir.
Then let's talk about what that means. Not what that means in Kashipur alone, but what it means around the world. Be it USA, Australia, Asia, PAC, South America, South Africa, doesn't matter. There are fundamentally a few things that leaders do. It could be in sports, it could be in management, it could be in any field of the world. There are fundamentally a few things. You can read any leadership literature in the world, and I have had the opportunity to read all of that literature as well, as much as anyone else has done. And I've actually spoken and dealt with many of these wonderful leaders and, listened to them. And by the way, if you type leadership into YouTube, you'll get 100 different articles and YouTube clips from Imran Khan to Mahatma Gandhi to everyone else, right? But fundamentally, if you want to be a leader, you've got to do three things. It's as simple as that. One over there? Okay. Let's go to the next slide. So, the question I was going to ask of leaders, who are they? Right? What do they do? Okay, let's go next. How are we doing on time, by the way? How much time do I have? Another 20 minutes? 10 minutes? Okay. So what do all great leaders do? Remember, I'm talking about great leaders. By the way, each one of you has the potential to be a great leader. You can choose to take it. But the fact you want to be leaders means you better think about what I'm saying. Think about it hard, because it's not easy. Next. So this is the first thing that great leaders do. Somebody talked about visionary. Somebody talked about visioning the future and all of that sort of stuff. Somebody talks about being ahead of the competition, being ahead of the curve. Doesn't matter what you call it. Great leaders shape the future. It might be in a small scale, it might be in a big scale, it might be in any other scale. They have a vision, they have a thought, they visualize what the future is going to be. They want to be always ahead. They don't want to just manage the department, the budget that is being set by somebody else. You understand? If you join a big company like P&G or Unilever, you'll join as a departmental manager or as management trainee, and they'll give you budgets. And they'll say, what's your name? Gaurav. They'll say, Gaurav, your target is you have to make 10 crores of revenue this year. And you can go out and deliver 10 crores of revenue to your team, make your plans, and what will you train for? And that's great. If you're a great leader, you'll be thinking about shaping the future even in that environment. And you know what will happen? Someone will talk to somebody else and somebody will talk to some HR person and say, Gaurav, he's a tremendous talent. You know, if you 10 crores ka target set kiya tha revenue ka, he's thinking he can do 30. He's thinking he can do 40. And how is he thinking that? Because, I'll come back to that. Because he is thinking, he's able to visualize and shape the future in a different way. Now, I'm talking about departmental manager of P&G. Mahatma Gandhi had a vision. Would you say he was a great leader? Of course, one of the greatest ever, right? What was his vision? He had a vision of free India. And he shaped the future. right? You talk of Steve Jobs. How many of you have read the book, Steve Jobs? Steve, right? Some people have read it. When he created Apple, he had a vision. And he wanted, you know what the Apple vision is? The vision statement of Apple is? Anyone here know what the vision statement of Apple is? Or was at least? They wanted to create a dent in the universe. Now, think about that for a vision. Imagine working for a company that is saying, our vision is to create a dent in the universe. Not bad. Not bad. What about the people who led NASA? What about, some of the great presidents who were? I mean, I'm not expecting you all going to reach, and get to that level and try to do, these types of magical things. No. I'm talking about in your roles, in your companies, in your societies, in your communities, in your families. If nothing else, many of you, if not all of you, will become parents. You are shaping the future of new human beings. It's a huge responsibility. Some of you might already be parents, I don't know. I certainly am a parent. And I think that's the biggest leadership responsibility I have got. But remember this point. Shape the future. Never ever stand still. Never ever accept received wisdom. Never be satisfied that that's all that can be done. Never ever think there is no better way. There is always a better way. You give me any situation, in any language, in any country, I can tell you there's a better way. And it's not about just for the sake of doing this, for there's a better way, it's an intellectual challenge. It's about having a vision and believing in it. So great leaders shape the future. Second, and this is what most people see as leadership, inspire and energize people. This is my language, by the way. It doesn't matter, you can use different words to it, it doesn't matter. Okay? Because great leaders will have followers. You need to be able to energize people. People need to get engaged with your vision. It's no point saying, "Haan, yaar, mera vision hai, lekin vision to main piche chhod raha hu. I'm here for some other reason." You know what I'm saying? You have to get people to buy into your vision. So, for instance, if Gaurav says to his boss, "You know what, boss, we are asking me to do 10 crore revenue. Sir, I'll do 15 crore revenue." And then he goes to his team, and then the team says, "Pagal hai yaar, 15 crore le gaya. Kaun karega?" No point. Okay? You need to be able to energize and inspire. Let's do. And when you are inspiring people and energizing people, you are developing people. Great leaders develop people. You'll find the people who work around great leaders also develop. It's a common characteristic. You'll find that where there is a great leader, there are a number of great people around him or her as well. So inspire and energize people. Now I'm going to talk to you a little bit later about what you can do to start building this and what you need to demonstrate every day when you start working to get into that category of great leaders. Because remember you said you want to be great leaders, and remember we said industry wants great leaders. Okay? Just remember the connection of what we're talking about. Let's go to the last one. And this is the most important thing. Leaders always deliver. Leaders always deliver. Right? MS Dhoni in West Indies last couple of months ago delivered. I'd say he's a great leader. I know this is not commercial point, so I shouldn't talk too much about it. But he delivers. Under pressure, leaders always deliver. And that's why people follow, because they know, they see it, they respect it. Now, take a moment and pause and think of somebody you know who you consider to be a great leader. Just think for a second. Let a vision come in front of your face. Okay? You there at the back. You thought of somebody? Did you think of somebody? You did, both of you. Okay, excellent. Now, just think of what that person does against these. And you'll find that somewhere along these three, you see a resonance. You see a resonance. Somewhere you'll find it. Okay? But I'm saying to you, industry wants great leaders, and if you want to be great leaders, you have to be doing these three. And you have to be restless about these three. So 10 years from now, when you're stuck in a department somewhere and you're not getting a promotion and you're wondering, why am I not getting, why am I being overlooked for this, and why am I doing that, and all these things, ask yourself, am I truly demonstrating this? And not because you want to impress somebody, but because that's who you are. If you're doing it to impress someone, it will be found out. Because people are genuine, no? People know who is doing the natak and who is doing the genuine, who the real quality person is. It's very easy to find that out. Okay? So this is the first big secret I'm giving you in the Conclave. If you want to be a great leader, remember all great leaders shape the future. In your own space, in your own way, in your own world, whatever it might be, you might be a great musician and you might be wanting to shape, a new form of music, or you might be wanting to push the boundaries of a certain type of jazz music, it doesn't matter. It might be in an organizational context, it might be in a political context, so it doesn't matter. Great leaders shape the future. They always inspire and energize people. And you will find that there are leaders who you get energy from. You like to listen to them. You automatically want to go to them somehow and seek them out. Okay? And lastly, they always deliver beyond expectation. Always. Unless there's a cataclysmic, catastrophic event that happens. But typically, they will always deliver. If you don't deliver all the talk, it will not. They say, show me the money. At the end of the day, leaders always deliver. If you're failing every year to meet your own targets that you've set for yourself, you don't have the right to tell yourself you're a great leader. Now, there are some people who will argue against it. They will say, no, but the publicly set target is 10. Their own self-target is 20 and they're meeting 18. So actually they are delivering above expectations. Okay, fine, you can argue also. I'm not getting into the 10. I'm not getting into that detail. You understood the point. Okay, hands up if you've understood these 3 points. Crystal clear. Okay, even in the last row I'm seeing you not, that's great. Let's move to the next point. Okay, so what can each one of us do to become great leaders? This is the holy grail. Okay, some people call this the definition of high potential. Okay? So one of the things that I've spent a lot of time doing across the world is the understanding of what differentiates performance from potential. Okay? Because there's a lot of myth. People say, "No, वो बड़ा high performer है, तो बड़ा potential." Of course, there's a link, but they are different. They are different aspects. Okay? There are certain characteristics that people who have potential demonstrate. There are certain characteristics that people who have potential demonstrate. If you don't demonstrate them, you can develop them. You can, before it's too late. So what I'm going to share with you now are 5 bits of my personal belief, which by the way is also there in literature somewhere. I've seen bits of it from different research from different places around the world. Okay, but 5 things that if you're not doing it now, you better tell yourself to do it. I know there are a million distractions in the world, but there are 5 things. First one, let's go to that. Relentless drive. Has anyone here read Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell? You've read this, Outliers. It's a book by Malcolm Gladwell, the same guy who wrote Tipping Point and Blink and some of these books. And what he basically says is, if you want to be exceptionally good at something, you have to put in a minimum of 10,000 hours in it. You cannot become Pandit Hariprasad Chaurasia if you have not done 10,000 hours of training. And he has done, I suppose, 100,000 hours. That's the story. Okay? So you cannot get anywhere without real hard work. Sorry guys, there is no silver bullet. There is no other pill. Now, one good news for you. Typically, Indian students and Indians have a better work ethic than most of the other countries in the world, barring maybe Taiwanese, Chinese, and Korean. If you look at Wharton, Harvard, Columbia, London Business School, which are some of your competing schools in the world, I've had the opportunity to recruit from those schools many times. They're all from these countries: India, China, Korea, Taiwan. And they ask the question, why? Why is it that none of the European children are getting it? Why? Because they're lazy. Because the Indians and the Chinese and the Koreans, I'm just telling you the way it is, guys. You look at the statistics. Go into the website and look at the statistics. 90% of them are from these countries. Why? Because they just work harder. Has anyone here seen Pursuit of Happiness, the film? You've seen the film. Remember what Will Smith says? He says, I might not have all that talent, but you know what? I'm going to get on the treadmill. I'm going to work my socks off. And when everyone else falls off that treadmill, I'm still going to be on that treadmill. I'm going to work harder and harder. And that's why you should back me. And there is no other way. There is no other way, guys. It's a hard world out there. It's a competitive world out there. as a leader, as a manager, or as a whatever I am, I want to see the guys who work much harder. I certainly have more time. Besides, work harder, you get better. Learn more and all these sorts of things. Okay, so relentless drive. Drive has more elements than just hard work. Now just hear me out carefully. If you want to write it down, you can. I didn't want to get too technical here. Drive has elements of resilience and tenacity. You understand these words? Resilience and tenacity. Basically it means you are going to be knocked back. You are going to fail. For all of you in this room, one piece of bad news is you are going to fail. You're going to fail not once, you're going to fail many times in your life. What defines you is what you do with that failure. Your success depends on how you see that, what opportunity you see in that failure. I can tell you now, all of you have already had a failure already by now in your life, sometimes. It may be as small as, marking and you may fail to get examined, or it may be a failure in some other way, or it may be a personality failure, or it may be some deeper failure, I don't know. What defines you, what you do with it. How you turn that into an opportunity, how you turn that into a strength. And that drive that says, I don't care. I don't care what happens. I'm going to pick myself up, dust myself down, and go for it. That drive defines you. Okay, first characteristic. Second. Now this is an interesting one, and I've used my language here. I don't know if you've got classes on intellect. There are several forms of intellect. Okay? I can assure you, I'm very comfortable talking to you guys about this because you are amongst the top people in verbal and numerical intellect at least. But there is social intellect, creative intellect, emotional intellect. There are hundreds of different forms of intellect which people talk about. But tragically, underpinning this, if you want to know my view on potential, are indeed verbal and numerical intellect. You need to be very nimble around this, whether it be doing business modeling, whether it be restructuring a business, whether it be a crisis management situation, your fluidity of intellect needs to kick in. So keep yourself, keep your brain always sharp. So I'm going to ask you all a question right now, and I want the first person to put their hand up. I'm going to ask the first person to put their hand up until they get the answer right. Okay? So tell me now, what is the square root of 0.9?
0.03.
Wrong.
0.95.
Excellent. 0.94. Excellent. I mean, it's only a little trick question. It's only a little trick question, but it keeps your mind ticking. So now some of you are thinking, hey, kaise hua? 0.03 mein wo to bani sakta. 0.3 must be 0.09. So how is it? Okay, so 0.09 is into, no, doesn't matter. I'm only just teasing you, right? But why am I doing that? I'm just trying to bring back the concept of fluidity of intellect. Without a fluid intellect, you cannot have potential, you cannot be great leaders. Keep your brain fresh. Keep your brain. I'm going to leave you another one, but I don't want the answer now because it's going to take you too long. And I don't want you to get too far down this, and I don't want you to discuss it with your neighbor. If you suspend a perfect cube by one of its points, have you come across this problem before? Hands up if you've come across this problem before. Okay. If you suspend a perfect cube by one of its points and cut a cross section through the center, what will be the shape of the cross section? I don't want you to answer it. I don't want you to answer it, but I can tell you you're wrong. What did you say? Sorry, wrong. Ah, you're all wondering now. What happened? Come on, huh? Pyramid, wrong. Square, wrong. Prism, wrong. Cuboid, wrong. Okay, fine, forget it. You're all wrong. So you enjoy it. Enjoy it in your tea break. Discuss it with your people, with your colleagues in tea break. I can assure you some of the people here are also thinking it through because they have come across it. But when I first got it, I didn't get the answer. It was asked in the Cambridge entrance exam, interview. These are some of the questions they ask because they know the student won't get the answer, but they want to see how the student's mind works. They want to check the fluidity of intellect. See, some of these questions, you can't, everyone's not a genius. This particular question requires visualizing skills that are quite special. So what is your name? Bharat is drawing it out to see, कि क्या है, इसका आंसर क्या है? क्यों नहीं rhombus है? Rhombus होना चाहिए. There are some people who will get very argumentative. No, वो triangle होगा sir. There are 3 planes. Part of the triangle होगा 100%. No, you will be. I'm doing it theoretically with a laser. With a laser you can cut it. Good try. Good try. Good try. I mean, this is lateral thinking. He says you won't be in a position to cut it, it will keep bouncing around. Use a laser. Very good try. But I can tell that some of you are thinking now, right? Your mind is working. Keep it working, always. Always. Rectangle, wrong. Wrong. How can it be a cuboid? Remember, a cuboid is not a two-dimensional figure. Doesn't matter. Guys, okay, no more. You find out the answer, and when you find out the answer, you spread it amongst yourselves. Somebody send me an email. So don't all of you send me an email. Somebody send me an email when you've got the answer. No, I'm not asking you now, okay? But remember, fluidity of intellect. Why is this so important? Because underpinning this are two different points. Now pay attention now. Guys, this way. He's doing this, which means he's prarthana nahi kar raha hai, he's working it out. Pay attention. Stay with me. I know it's a bit of a teaser and it leaves an unfinished loop in your mind, but let's just leave it there. Hold it there, okay? Stay with me. What's your name? Sneha. Hey, don't laugh. You know, I'm Tony. Some people, I'm Tony George. It's my real name. I'm Malayali, right? So when people come to see me in London and they think Tony George, and then they meet me and say, hello, how are you? And I say, hello. So we're here to meet Tony George. No, I'm Tony George. Oh. It's like, how can you be Tony George? Then, some people ask me, what is your real name? Sorry, is there something wrong with my name? Anyway, so let's say that. Come back here. So fluidity, nimbleness of intellect. Okay? Why is this important? Because if you are demonstrating potential, you are demonstrating what is called judgment. You're also demonstrating what is called cutting-edge strategic capability. What does that mean? What does all of that mean? Okay? We don't have time to go into all of it, but read it up. Okay? Judgment is one of the most important things. Your judgment in any situation is shaped from several factors, but really intellect underpins it. And it's really verbal and numerical. Why is verbal intellect so important? Because your facility to communicate clearly, accurately, and precisely the thinking is as important as the thinking itself. That's why these two underpin it. Emotional, creative, social, all these other forms of intellect come later. Okay, so second one, fluidity, nimbleness of intellect. Okay? Don't forget the pyramid. Not the pyramid, what was the cube? Next. Now this is a big one, and I tell you what, Indians we are a bit behind on this one. But you guys can be ahead, you guys can be leaders, and that is self-awareness and environmental radar. The other way of terming this is insight. Insight into self. How well do you know yourself? How well do you really know your strengths and your development areas? Versus what you think of yourself. Like we all think we are a little better than we are. Not necessarily. Some of us think we are worse than we are. It's another problem. But how well do you really, how realistic are you? Because remember, the better you know yourself, the more people will trust you. Because your behavior will be more consistent. Okay? And your environmental radar is very important. Now let me explain why I came across this concept and why this is so important. As you become more senior, as you become bigger leaders, right? You will get less time to assess situations because you'll be dealing with the multiplicity of situations and people. So you will enter a room and there'll be 10 people and you have to quickly figure out where people are. How are they thinking? You don't have time to sit down with each person and say, Acha, aapke kya hai? What is your background? Tell me about your family situation. No, nothing. You've just got nanoseconds. And you have to look at their body language, their thinking, what they're saying, how they're saying it, what communication style they're adopting, everything to quickly get a sense of where they are. And if you don't, you won't get impact. Am I making sense? Are you getting me? Hands up if I'm making sense so far. Okay. So, self-awareness and now, behind each one of these areas, there are things you can do to actually improve. Okay? For instance, self-awareness. If you're not sure about this, ask a number of your friends for some feedback. Ask it in a serious way. Not as a joke, but ask in a serious way. Say, I'm looking for feedback. What do you see? And think about the things you want to ask them. In organizational stuff, they call it 360 feedback, or they call it various different ways. There are things you can do, there are various instruments you can use, paper and pen exercises, there are even some tests. Okay? Simply test, instrument, test for the right wrong answer, get the instrument to just give you your nature of practice. Anyway, so you can do all of that, but self-awareness is very important. To become a leader, you You have to demonstrate that. So remember, these are the characteristics that you need to demonstrate now. If you want to become the great leaders, shaping the future, energizing the organization and delivering incredible results. And that's what the industry wants. Okay, that's the link. Don't forget the link about what I'm talking about here. Okay? So making sense so far, right? You get this? Sure. Okay. Next one. Now this is the next one, and somebody talked about this here. Different ways of doing things. Somebody talked about it. Somebody talked about it. Very important. Now I'm calling it innovation. Now innovation, creativity and initiative. I've used two words there. Creativity is not necessarily artistic or musical. It's really problem solving. How do you apply your, add some lime into it and pour some of ice and create a new thing? And that's also necessary, of course. But all of you won't get the opportunity to do this type of creative stuff every day. It's more around how you do things better. And that is creativity. So it's not so difficult. You don't need to be a jazz pianist to be able to do creativity. You can do creativity where you are. Okay? And again, how do you develop that? Many ways. But the other aspect of creativity is initiative. Having a big idea and doing nothing about it is like having no idea. I had a big idea, so okay. I've had many ideas that have had no use. I can't take any credit for that. And the worst thing is the person who says, "Ha yaar, usne kar liya, maine bhi wo socha tha." Actually, I had already thought about that. Forget it. You missed the boat. You didn't do anything about it. So it's creativity with initiative. Okay. Now, the worst thing that you can be is an eager behavior that comes up with an idea every minute for your boss and becomes a pain in the backside. So you need to have insight. You need to be able to understand how to handle this, right? It's not like, sir, make more ideas. Sir, make more ideas. Sir, I have another idea, sir. I'm going to show you something. There's a point to it. But it's how your mind works. How you're constantly looking at creative. Creative is big, small, doesn't matter. Both matter. Okay? Now again, with this attribute, if you don't have it, there are ways to develop it. Before it's too late. You can still do it. Another 10 years from now, your probability of doing that goes down. Because it becomes more difficult. And the last one is another one where you can do a lot. And I was talking last night at dinner, and we were talking about how theatre is one tremendous way in which this can be built, but it's one particular attribute, and that is what I call presence or gravitas, coupled with interpersonal skills. What does presence mean? If you are a big leader, you will command a presence in your own style. This is very important. People think, presence means you need to be, 7 feet tall and very broad and you need to be able to, no, not at all. Not at all. You may be a very quiet, very shy guy, doesn't matter. But when you speak, you will have a presence. People will listen to you. You will find in your group discussions, do you have group discussions here? In your studies and such? You will find there's some people when they talk, everybody listens. There's some people when people talk, when that person talks, other people also start talking at the same time. Because they don't listen to what he or she is saying. Don't think about it. I know it's a bit awkward to say this, but you'll always find that. You'll find in some groups and some situations, some people just seem to communicate, seem to cut through. Have you noticed this? Right? The style doesn't matter. There are a million different styles, and I can assure you, everyone sitting in this room has their own unique style, and that's the beauty of management and beauty of humankind, right? Everyone is unique. We all have our own different histories and paths, right? But we will have our own presence. And if you don't have that, and if you feel, I'm not able to communicate through, I'm not cutting through, there are things you can do to develop that. Again, you have time now. As time goes on, your probability gets lower and lower. So, bottom line, and I'm just running out of time. What does industry want? Okay? And I'm talking about at the topmost level, I'm talking about CEOs of big multinational corporations, big divisional CEOs handling, $2-3 billion of revenue with, say, 10,000 employees, that sort of people, right? Which is where, by the way, each of you needs to become one day. That's what each of you wants to become, because that's what you said you're going to be. You want to be leaders, right? I have no reason to doubt that. The fact that you are here in IIM Kashipur, you are sitting here in this hall means you have earned that right. Now the question is, what are you going to do with it? So what does industry want? They want leaders. What do leaders do? They do those three things. What were the three things? Let's hear. What was the first one? Share the vision. Okay, what's the second one?
Energize.
Always deliver beyond.
Fantastic, fantastic. Okay, and in order to demonstrate that you have the potential to be a great leader, which is, by the way, what you need to be doing at this stage, there are 5 things you need to look at. 5 things. Now, what I've not talked about here are some other factors that influence this, like your values. If you're a toad, basically, at your heart, you're not going to get anywhere. Okay? Integrity. Not only integrity in terms of chori nahi karta hu, or karti hu. Integrity in terms of the integrity of thinking, the purity of your thinking, the quality of your thinking, the non-compromising. Let me tell you, there are some amongst you who, on the day before a project has been submitted, are taking shortcuts. Stop it. Don't do it. Because you're training yourself in the wrong way. I know it because I did it. I suffered for it. I'm just telling you as bluntly as that. And as I'm saying this, I'm sure there are some of you thinking, oh yeah, don't do it. You have a golden opportunity. Train yourself. Okay? So integrity is one thing. The other thing, there are factors like mobility, risk taking. There's some other factors that are outside this. But basically, these are the 5 characteristics that define your potential. These are the 5 characteristics. If you can master these 5 characteristics, you will get into a position of guarantee. Okay, and it's a conclave, so it's a secret, don't want to tell anyone. Okay? You will get into a position now. Once you're there, and along the way as well, you need to demonstrate those 3 things. And if you're not doing all 3 all the time, you're missing something. Keep thinking about it. And if you do all of that, I can tell you that you will lead India. You will lead the world, not just India. You will lead the world. I'll end with one little story which happened was it last week actually? I think it was last week. Sorry about this feedback. It was last week. So on my Inchcape board, we have a number of very senior people. The group CEO of Imperial Tobacco, the group chairman of Debenhams, the group CEO of 3i, one of the biggest investment banks in the world, chairman of Greenhill, which is one of the most elite management consultants in the world. They all sit on our board, and we had the annual dinner with them. And I'm the only Indian in that environment. Actually, not right. Now we have another person who is Vicky Bindra, who's running MasterCard for Asia Pac, right? He's the president and CEO of MasterCard. And so I was sitting next to Simon Borrows, who's the group CEO of 3i, right? Very senior man. He's one of Britain's 100 richest people. He, for his birthday, he hired a 747 Jumbo and took all his friends to his villa in France that had taken 6 years to complete. He's a different character. He was sitting next to me, and I was sitting there thinking, yes, I'm Indian. He's not from me. Can't confuse me. So he sat down, and then he said to me halfway through, he said, so a lot of Indians seem to be becoming CEOs of big corporations now. Both of them. Very nice guy, actually very decent guy. Because he was talking about Ivan Menezes, who is running Diageo now. He was a college senior now. And Ajay Banga is running MasterCard. And Rakesh Kapoor is running Reckitt Benckiser. My boss is on the board of it. So, there are a lot of Indians who are now leading. People who have come out just like this. One day they were sitting like this, in a room like this. Some Indians are talking to them as well, right? And suddenly something clicked in my mind. I said, well, no, I'm not sure I agree with you. He said, what do you mean? I said, well, look about it. Think about it. A sixth of the world is Indian. A sixth of the world is Indian. If you take the Fortune 500, that means roughly how many companies should have Indian CEOs? 18. I said, well, 70, 80 companies ought to have Indian CEOs, and I'm not seeing that yet. They just laughed. I said, no, I actually mean that. I mean that very seriously. Because I know that great Indian leaders are at least as good, if not better, than the best there is. I believe this. I'll never stop believing this. I hope you never stop believing it. And I wish you all the very best. Thank you very much.
Shape the future. They have a vision. They never accept that is all that can be done. They energize and inspire people. They always deliver beyond expectations. Thank you so much, sir, for such a wonderful talk. It was really thought-provoking and actually made us all introspect. I request our director Gautam Sinha, Professor Gautam Sinha, to present Mr. Tony George with a memento. Sir.
Can we have a big round of applause, please?